All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cody Underground, Trading with Cody Live Q&A. I've got all the answers. Let's get rich quick right now, everybody. Buy cryptos. Just kidding. Just kidding. No get rich quick schemes. They don't work. They don't work. Let's roll up our sleeves, so to speak. Do some hard work, analyze stocks, bonds, economies, cryptos. Cryptos are crashing. That's what I wrote about for Trading with Cody subscribers this morning. And I'll segue slightly here, but it's the same sort of topic. You know what's interesting right now is that I find it interesting that so many of my subscribers are very interested in cryptocurrencies. And so is the general public. And yet, I get in discussions with any cryptocurrency person, anybody who's in cryptos already, except for me. I've been in cryptocurrencies. I've been in Bitcoin for 5 years, but I'm bearish. I've been selling a lot, most of my Bitcoins. But most people who own Bitcoin for a long time or have been buying it recently or in any cryptos at all, I don't know, shoot, what was I just talking? I lost my point.
You've had cryptocurrencies for 5 years.
Nah, I heard that part.
But most people who've been buying...
Everybody right now is telling me that they're about to go up a bunch. Oh, that was my point. That everybody's telling me that the general public is not yet in cryptocurrencies. Or that the big money is not yet in cryptocurrencies. But everybody, the general public Joe person who is asking me about cryptos is either already in it a little bit or about to get in it or understands enough that they're wanting to get in it. Most of them are already in it. And I think that's my point, is that short term, I don't like cryptos. Long term, I do. I do think blockchain and cryptocurrencies have a huge future, creating trillions of dollars of economies. I always come back to, if you're in Venezuela or Iraq, you have spent, or most any developing economy, and we're talking about more than half the world's population, 4 or 5 billion people on this planet have spent their entire lives trying to fight fiat currency hyperinflation, devaluation, and governments screwing them out of every dollar of potential value they might have earned. And all of those billions of people want and need a non-fiat currency. A fiat currency is fake. Fiat means it's just backed by words, goodwill. And in the United States, in large part because we are the petrodollar, and if you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia or most any other country, you have to buy dollars. You have to convert your currency to dollars and then give those dollars to Saudi Arabia or whoever, whatever country is selling you that oil. Because of that, we have not had hyperinflation. Certainly is not because the Federal Reserve and the Republican Democrat regime haven't tried to steal every dollar of value through fiat currency tricks and or bailouts and or tax policies. But the dollar, relative to all the other fiat currencies around the world, has maintained its value. But cryptocurrencies provide an avenue that's not gold or some physical asset, but that is potentially, truly not fiat. It is that you know how many current cryptocurrencies there are in, say, Bitcoin. You know how many there could be. And for you to be able to store value of your earnings and savings and investments in a currency that is not devalued through trickery and fiat games, there's demand for that. Billions of people want that. But at this time and place, 90% plus of the cryptocurrencies that you can see on coinmarketcap.com, the top 100 largest market cap cryptocurrencies, I'll bet 90% plus go to zero in the next 2 years. Many of them are frauds. Many of them are just dumb. Many of them are great ideas that are too early. Many of them just don't have the backing that they'll need, and many of them will not hit critical mass, and many of them will be beaten by either Bitcoin or one other that has already established some critical mass, or more likely, maybe more likely, but just as likely, a new cryptocurrency that's not even available yet, that hasn't even been created yet. The dot-coms were going public and raising billions of dollars in 98, 99, 2000. Google didn't come public until 2004. So I would expect sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, there is a Google of cryptocurrencies that comes public. And I have been buying, just recently, a new cryptocurrency that I have been calling potentially the Amazon of cryptocurrencies. Amazon bottomed a year before the dot-com bubble finished blowing itself up. So maybe one or two cryptocurrencies that are out there right now might be bottoming out of hundreds. And maybe a few of them will survive and be worth a lot more. But I think Bitcoin will see 1,000 before it sees 100,000. I wouldn't even be surprised if Bitcoin sees 1,000 before it sees 10,000 again. But I do expect if Bitcoin, which is somewhat likely, if it were to become the de facto standard cryptocurrency of the world, it would be worth much more than $10,000 each. Whatever cryptocurrency does sort of become, and maybe two or three, but whichever ones, 1, 2, or 3 truly hit critical mass and become widely accepted around the world and widely held around the world, be worth trillions. Market cap of Bitcoin right now is probably about 100 billion. So, but more crash first, I do believe. Greed rules. You should be fearful when greed rules. All right. Comments, questions. I got some questions from Trading with Cody subscribers. Oh, I should have gone in the chat room and told everybody on there, hey, I'm live. I got a few people on the call there already dialed in. Why don't you guys start? Any questions there on the call?
Yeah, I'm just curious. The pullback in SolarEdge, is that just because it's gone up so much and it hit 55 about where you were thinking of buying more?
Which one is that?
Are you still holding to that?
Which one? SolarEdge?
SolarEdge?
Yeah.
At a 55 to 60, you would buy more.
Yeah, you know, I should say, and I should probably make these things more clear. I sent out a tradingwithcody.com post yesterday to all my subscribers that explained some of the things like, I outlined all my positions, how much annualized returns they've got, and in it, I also say where I would probably buy some more of that position. And the would probably is the emphasis I'm making right now, because yes, I wouldn't shy away from buying SolarEdge at 55, but you got to remember, I mean, I bought a bunch of that stuff, not a bunch, but I bought that stuff at 14. And I think I even did a few nibbles even below 14 when it fell a little bit after we initially bought it. Now it ran all the way to 70. I trimmed a little bit. I've got other stocks I'll probably buy before SolarEdge, personally. But yeah, I think it's probably a good trade here at 55 and a decent trade, a good long-term investment. I do think SolarEdge, the digital technology that they use versus analog that most existing solar panels use provides a lot more upside potentially. That answer your question?
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you see other states following suit, like California, and requiring solar panels on
Will, great,
new
yeah.
home production?
Will other states follow in California's recent footsteps requiring new homes built to have solar panels?
And could that be a huge windfall?
No, I don't think the solar. Look, I own two solar stocks, and I don't think either one depends upon more or less subsidies from Republican, Democrat regimes and other developed economy regimes around the world in the EU and stuff. They certainly boost near term and provide welfare for shareholders like you and I. But the grand scheme of things, I would prefer there be no subsidies. I can't imagine that a bunch more states could possibly follow in California's footsteps. California per capita, very wealthy compared to, say, Arizona or New Mexico. And obviously, forget per capita, just gross economy at California is what, like the 5th largest in the world or something you always hear. So no, I don't expect that to be a trend among states. And frankly, I would hope and expect there's pushback against requirements like that. I mean, that's just typical that's just typical that is typical lobbyists trying to get more welfare and being greedy, and that we're benefiting because we own solar stocks as that happens. But come on, freedom, man, freedom. But anyway, yeah, I know you weren't propagandizing for more solar welfare there either, so I don't mean to make it sound otherwise. Any other questions there on the call? I'll come on to the chat room here, if not. Chat room, first question. Cody, SEDG, nibble more at this level? SolarEdge? Let's actually make a point about that. It underscores two things. Number one, that people aren't scared at all right now. There is no fear. People want and are desperate for ideas to put their money to work in. And so, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you gotta have to rush into SolarEdge or something. I think it's a great investment if you don't own any, nibble a little bit. But there's no rush. Let's just slow down and, let's see. I bet there's more questions on SolarEdge before this call is over. Oh, here it is. I scrolled up 2 hours ago. Cody, I just bought more SolarEdge. Or no, he says, hi, I just bought more SolarEdge. Cody had a price of 55 to 60 for some nibble, so some nibbling I've done. Now there I think that makes some sense, right? And here's another question. Cody, you know what's going on with SolarEdge? Is it a good time to buy? Look, SolarEdge, the point I'm trying to make is that SolarEdge went from 14 to 70 in a year after we bought it. Maybe 16 months or something. And I don't think that 55 is suddenly a screaming great buy. From 50 to 70 is sort of the same valuation compared to 14. And trying to time it, I have no idea. And there is always the potential that headline risk that the Republican Democrat regime or some other government does something with solar subsidies that isn't positive, that the market has been pricing in, and then you get hit, and that would truly be a great time to buy. But look, I mean, the stock goes from 14 to 70 in a heartbeat, and sure, its estimates also went from like 50 cents to $3 annualized earnings power, and now it's modeling another 30-40% growth from there. So I still think it's a good buy, or I would sell all of it, but we don't have to rush, and everybody is freaking out that SolarEdge went from 70 to 55 in the last 4 or 5 days, when it's gone from 14 to 70 in the last 8 to 16 months. So you've got to have, shouldn't be surprising if there's volatility. And if you don't own any, maybe nibble a little bit. Questions, comments, chat room. Discussion in the chat room about whether the subscribers prefer the chat. Every other week I do this live stream, and the other weeks I do in the chat room itself. And lots of them love just the chat in the chat room. Some of you love the live stream. Hey, we can have both. We can have our cake and eat it too. I'll try to do more live streams. I'll try to do both. I'm in the chat room most days, most weekdays if I'm not traveling. So, those are the questions that are in the chat room. We're 20 minutes in. Let's see if there's some questions here on Facebook Live. Cody, people need a stable currency whose value is steady and not driven to huge bubble highs and correspondingly huge crashes in nearly purely speculative market. Nearly purely speculative market. This is from a friend and well-respected colleague of mine who's maybe 20 years older than me and loves gold, I think, not cryptos. And I'm sorry to pop your bubble, Hudson. We're going to have to agree to disagree here. Let me be clear. I agree with you. The world needs a stable currency whose value is not driven to huge bubble highs and correspondingly huge crashes. You can't control it, though. There are going to be bubbles and crashes in currencies like there are in stocks, like there is in gold. Has been in the past, and there will be again. Bubbles and crashes and manias happen. Let's just be realistic. That doesn't mean that cryptocurrencies have failed, that just because they bubbled and now are crashing. Just like it didn't mean that the dot-com internet revolution failed just because trillions of dollars were raised and then lost in that bubble and crash. You now have Amazon and Apple and Google and Facebook worth more than $2 trillion alone. Just 4 companies. And same will happen for cryptocurrencies, Hudson. You're looking at a snapshot in time. 5 years from now, there will be more stable cryptocurrency markets. Here we go. Here's Hudson. The U.S. dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, quote unquote, as he says, which now is the guns and bombs of the military-industrial complex. If petrodollars go away, then the U.S. dollar is toilet paper. That's why the U.S. military executes Saudi Arabian foreign policy. Let's temper that a little bit, but I think, there's some very valid points and arguments being made there. Both. I don't know what you're talking about, Leonard. Oh, how can Americans help the bubbles? Oh, how can Americans keep the bubbles from crashing their portfolios? Be careful. You don't have to buy cryptocurrencies ever. You didn't have to buy .com stocks. You don't have to be buying stocks right now. Cash, cash, cash. I offered a Trading with Cody lifetime subscription recently, and had quite a few people take me up on it, and I took every dollar that I made off of that and put it in savings right now. I still own stocks, and I might buy some more. I've got stock money in my stock account, but I've raised cash in that stock account in the last year or two, and in the last month or two, and that is really the only way to avoid bubbles and crashes. And even then, you are always, no matter if you're using US dollars or bitcoins or gold, whatever you are storing your wealth in, you are win to market bubbles, crashes, and manias. You can't avoid it. But you can be careful, and you can be fearful when others are greedy. Like right now in cryptocurrencies, people are greedy. Be fearful, Leonard. Any other questions on Facebook, YouTube, Trading with Cody? Oh, I had a couple emailed questions for Trading with Cody subscribers. There's one. Cody, you recently mentioned you might nibble some more of the cryptocurrency that you just recently bought at XYZ level. It has dropped below XYZ level. Are you going to buy more or wait a little bit? I might nibble a little more, probably this week. Yeah, I'll buy a little into the crash, but again, I'm going to buy maybe 10% as much of that cryptocurrency as I eventually will want to own. If it crashes another 50%, I'm okay with that. I'll do another tranche at that level. And if it crashes 9%, I'll probably do it there too. But I'll also be paying attention to whether or not the cryptocurrency that I'm talking about, that I've been investing in recently, is catching critical mass, that it is gaining wide acceptance, that it does have momentum. And I don't mean the stock chart. I don't mean the price chart. You can ignore price charts, volumes, Elliott charts, rigatoni islands, Gilligan Islands. You can ignore all technical analysis, especially in cryptocurrencies. What are you going off your gut? And beyond that, do you really think in the grand scheme of capitalism and trillions of dollars flowing around the globe and billions of people yearning for wealth and value and greed, that your special way of drawing lines on past price, performance, and volume is going to magically reward you long term? Create value and wealth in your life by drawing lines on things you could print out and draw lines on? No, I do not believe so. I don't know anyone who long term makes money wholly dependent upon technical analysis. I think technical analysis is probably a waste of most people's time and energy and brain cycles. That's just me though. What's interesting is either YouTube or Facebook has me flipped. So my parts on the right side on YouTube, left side on Facebook. It must be on my right side though, because that's the one that my right hand is finding that part. Blow your mind. When I was on TV, I'd always talk about that I had to keep track of like 3 or 4 different realities, because there's a reality of actually being on air and the things you say on air and having to remember that. Then there's reality of like what you're talking to your producer during the commercial break. And then there's your normal reality that engage with other people in general in society. And then I guess there is sort of that internal reality of your own existence. Whoa, blow your mind. I'm left and right at the same time on 2 different platforms. Hey, but YouTube's backwards. Also known as Trading with Cody, if it's read the right direction. Question from a Trading with Cody subscriber that was just now posted on Facebook. So now we got 3 platforms, and I'm getting confused on my own reality. Cody, I just tuned in. 2 questions. Did you give an answer on what size of Verizon you just recently bought? No, I didn't see that question. Maybe you emailed it. Sorry. It's like a 1/4, 1/5 size tranche, maybe a third. A typical tranche size. Number 2, what's going on with Scutify? Kane, what is going on with Scutify? There's something happened. I think it's that we didn't. The HTTPS is not working on Scutify. If you remove the S and just do it HTTP, it will work, but we'll get it fixed. Bear with us. Kang desperately need Scutify working. Hudson's back. If you want to make money on cryptos, Hudson, you're losing track of what we're discussing here. I'm not telling people to make money on cryptos. I am pointing out the fact that there is a huge demand for non-fiat currencies. There is a $1 trillion opportunity for a currency to develop that allows people around the world to store value, that it will have to be widely accepted. It will have to hit critical mass. It will have to go through bubbles and manias to get to that point. Has nothing to do with momentum. Has nothing to do with gambling or speculating per se. It's an economic phenomenon that needs to happen. You want to have quick access to price info. Correct. And you will. 2018? No. In 2028, whatever the widely accepted cryptocurrencies/currencies of the world are, you will have whatever it is you're asking. Quick access to price info, be able to get in and out really quick too, and not have to wait hours to see if a trade went through, and if the market is honest. Not that Wall Street is a solution to any of that by any means. Agreed, Hudson. I've never been able to figure out how to do this. I see cryptos as too illiquid, thus too risky. Well, you're looking at it in 2018 at a snapshot. It is going to revolutionize currencies. It's going to revolutionize economies. It's going to help poor people not get raped by their governments. I hate using that term. It's not the right term. Screwed by their governments. Here's a question. Hold on to your hats, everybody. Cody, what's going on with Piper? Guess.
Cryptocurrency.
No. What's the other thing I've been talking about? Everybody wanted to know all day.
SolarEdge.
Bingo. Someone's paying attention over there. I hope you are. The guy asking the question was not. Sunil, what's going on with SolarEdge? SolarEdge is crashing. No, it's not. It's gone from 14 to 70 and now it's at 55. Or is it down more than that right now? Let's see. $56. It's down 9% today. If you'll go look at the trade alert I most recently sent out about SolarEdge, it was trimming some in anticipation that it could pull back, and that's what's happening. So, love you, Sunil. Just happened to ask the question that I predicted, did I not, Piper, at the beginning of the call, when I had 2 quick questions about SolarEdge, that I would find more. And then I went in the chat room, I found more, and now I'm still getting more. It's okay, guys. Stocks go up and stocks go down. Volatility. Any questions on the call?
I got one, Cody.
Yes, sir.
I guess Verizon with its large installed base, great income and all that sort of thing. But what about its debt load? Is that an issue for you?
I was making a joke when you first started talking, pretending that I was drinking vodka and not water. And I missed what the actual stock you asked about was.
Oh, Verizon.
Verizon. So,
Verizon. BZ.
yeah, Verizon. So, The short answer is no. The short answer is no, I'm not terribly worried about Verizon's debt load. The long answer is that I have learned over the years that with cable providers and telephone service providers, because it is such a capital intensive business, and whether it's 5G or fiber optics or coaxial cable to your home or launching of satellites, those businesses are inherently capital intensive, and